Well, Joe, thanks so much for chatting to us today. The big question we're asking this week is, can anybody beat Canelo?
I think you can if you're Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder, one of the big heavyweights. No, but listen, he's a phenomenal fighter. He's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world at the moment. And he's got a chance of doing something quite unique at the weekend, becoming undisputed world super middleweight champion. Caleb Plant, can he do it? That's the big question. I've been torn with this. Obviously, been against Canelo a couple of times with Liam Smith and Callum Smith, and you study him, you dissect him, and just when you think you know the best way to beat him, he comes and brings something else to the table as well. We've seen that with the Billy Joe fight recently as well. Billy Joe kept moved and punched, but eventually Canelo caught up with him, and I think it could be only a case of matter of time. The same on Saturday night with Canelo catching up with Caleb Plant.
As you said yourself, you've been in the opposite corner a couple of times now. When you've looked to try and construct a game plan to defeat Canelo, what are the weaknesses that you found or areas where you think you can hurt him?
I think Canelo is used to a rhythm in his work. I feel with Callum Smith in the short time that we had, 4.5 weeks, we negated a lot of Canelo's good work. He didn't manage to get off a lot of his good shots. Our movement around the ring was good. Canelo didn't land as much as he usually does. And it was just a case of Callum in the short time wasn't sharp enough with sparring, and his timing was out. I think you're seeing with Floyd Mayweather, although it was a lot younger Canelo then, Mayweather's movement around the ring, his ring generalship was just too cute and too smart for Canelo. Caleb Plant brings that to the ring on Saturday night. He brings good movement and he brings good punching. I was having a conversation in the gymnasium last week. We all thought Marvin Hagler would be too big and too strong for Sugar Ray Leonard. Could this be that type of fight again? When you watch Caleb Plant, he's usually motivated. He's got huge self-belief. But I do feel when he does throw in punches, he does leave himself open. And I feel like with Billy Joe and other people at Canelo's fought, when he hits, you know you're being hit. Is that much? He has an effect. When Caleb Plant hits, is he got to have an effect on Canelo? I don't think he will. I think he'll win rounds through movement and landing good shots. But when it becomes a firefight, I only can see Canelo coming out on top of that.
And when you mentioned a couple of the greats of the sport there, when you look at some of the names that have graced the sport down the years, with what Canelo's achieved, turning pro at the age of 15, becoming a world champion in 4 different weight divisions, that one defeat, as you mentioned there, against Floyd Mayweather, where does he rank compared to some of these greats?
Listen, it's very hard to compare generation and generations, because this generation is 12-round fighters, and then we're asking to compare against 15-round fighters. In the Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard great fight that went 14 rounds. If it ended at 12, Tommy Hearns won on points. But then a couple of rounds extra that made Sugar Ray Leonard. Listen, he's up there. He's one of the Mexicans' greatest fighters up there, obviously with Julio Cesar Chavez and Lopez as well, Ricardo Lopez. So he's made his mark. Obviously, he's always going to have the slur or the bad name with the drug testing, whether he tested positive or he didn't test positive. That's always got to be the slur, the black mark against him I was looking for. And Caleb Plant made reference to that in the press conference, and it was something him and Eddie Reynoso didn't like, and they're quick to get rid of that thought. And it was just something bad. They don't want to talk about that, but Caleb Plant wants to talk about it and wants to get under the skin, and that's what he did at the press conference. He got him under the skin. But Canelo Alvarez, what he's done in the ring up to now, apart from the Mayweather fight, he's not put a foot wrong.
And just last one on Canelo, when you look at what he has achieved, what else do you think there is for him to achieve? What else can he do? We've seen him step up at light heavyweight and win a world title. I know he said himself that he'd love to go all the way up to cruiserweight and become a world champion. Is that realistic, or what do you think he's got left that he can achieve?
I think the cruiserweights, Lawrence Okolie's and people out when they hear Canelo moving up, they're all seeing the ching ching, that they're happy for it. I do feel it's a bit like Roy Jones when he went through divisions, just the right fighters at the right times. And in the same way Canelo moved up and fought Kovalev at the right time. He'd just come off a tough fight with Anthony Yarde, and Canelo came in, offered him life-changing money, and he took it. I wouldn't be surprised to see him move back up to light heavyweight again. You've got Bivol there, Joe Smith, Artur Beterbiev, and they're good fights to have. And I think Canelo most will be looking there and think, well, unify here, step up, and most will take a Bivol or a Joe Smith on. That's one down, and build up towards the Beterbiev fight. So he's maturing all the time, Canelo. But like you say, he's a fantastic fighter. And I don't think people realise how good he is. I'm certainly one of them. Until you're up against him and you see him live. It's just the little things he does well, his movement, his timing. And like you say, his punch power. He's a very spiteful, hurtful puncher.
It's a big weekend as well for Marcus Morrison, isn't it, against Zack Parker on Saturday at the Birmingham Arena. A real chance for him to propel his career onto the next level.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a step up in weight for Marcus. Obviously, if we went 10 rounds with Chris Eubank Jr. early on in the year, gained a lot of confidence from that. And it was an opportunity. Zack Parker is on a good run of form. I think he's on like 4 stoppages on the bounce. Not really for many domestic kids, so it's hard to judge how good he really is. But the one thing with Marcus Morrison, he carries power, punches hard with both hands. And it's a huge opportunity for him. Zack Parker's the #1 WBO mandatory to fight Canelo. And Marcus Morrison's going in there to cause the upset. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does. But we're usually confident of doing it. And maybe they might have overlooked Marcus Morrison in this fight. But it will be an exciting fight for however long it lasts on Saturday night.
And a new fighter that's joined your stable. He's quit the sun to come and join up with you. Is Charlie Edwards. How excited are you about the start of this partnership?
No, definitely. Charlie's settling really well. He sparred very well today. And Charlie is sparring in good kids, and the spars with Paul Butler. The gym comes to a standstill to watch the two of them at work. Obviously, Paul Butler's fighting for a world title in December, and Charlie's ranked highly in governing bodies. He wants a world title shot. So see them two pit their wits against each other is pay-per-view material. It's really good work, but Charlie's doing really well, settled in well, and there's world titles still left in Charlie Edwards. He's a good fighter, well skilled, and he's got that bit between his teeth now. He wants to come back. He's had a year out, become a father, set up over there in Portugal, and that just shows you his intent that he's come away from Portugal to set up here in Manchester for his training camp. So there's huge desire and belief still in Charlie, with Charlie and myself, that he can deliver another world title.
And just finally, I wanted to ask you about Anthony Joshua and the training situation with him. He's been out there in America working with a number of different legendary trainers, and he's looking to add something to his team. What do you make of that thinking when it comes to trying to gear himself up for this rematch in spring?
Yeah, listen, one, I don't know what the relationship is with Rob McCracken, if he's given his blessing. If it is, I think it's a bit disrespectful to Rob McCracken. And I also think, listen, with Rob, it was working well. Once there could become a Joby Clayton or an Angel, there's 2 or 3 too many cooks spoil the broth. And if you see the work Rob McCracken did with Carl Froch through all his career, he didn't bring a #2 or #3 in. And that should be it. If that relationship is broke, then Anthony Joshua is going looking. But I think he's looking in the wrong market. Tyson Fury was fighting Deontay Wilder and needed a new trainer. So he went and got an American trainer that knows how to beat American fighters. There's no point Anthony Joshua. He's in the wrong country over there seeking out American trainers. Anthony Joshua wants to get a European trainer who knows that Eastern European. And if I was Joshua, I've been going to Bradis' trainers and coaches because they've come close to beating Usyk. They're the type of people that he needs to know. Trainers that know the European circuit, know how to deal with southpaws, that have come through that amateur system. They're the trainers he needs to be looking at getting, not Americans. Why are you going to employ an American trainer to try and beat a European fighter or Eastern European fighter? They've got no experience of that. He's in the wrong market. He needs to be looking at who the Klitschko's and people in around that area. They're the people that you need to be looking at, Usyk. And I feel there's good enough trainers here in the UK that could help Anthony Joshua get that win. Obviously, Shane McGuigan's doing well as well. Do you know what I mean? There's Adam Booth, who's had good work with David Hay over the years. Do you know what I mean? In them big divisions. So I feel I don't think that's the right. I think he's in the wrong shopping centre there in America for a good trainer. I think there's good trainers here in Europe that could do a better job in him defeating Alexander Usyk.